with both players and owners coming to an agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement. Does that mean the Buffalo Bills can soon be looking forward to a new stadium? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Billievers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this Could It Happen Buffalo Sports edition of Billievers Talk, where we take a hot take in Buffalo sports and we ask ourselves, could it happen? Again, guys, thank you for joining me on this episode. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel or you haven't quite yet hit that subscribe button, guys, hit that subscribe button as we keep you up to date on Buffalo Bills and other news around Buffalo sports. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. After you hit that subscribe button, you want to hit that notification bell. And after you hit that notification bell, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment, hit that thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel, because in this episode, we're going to ask ourselves, could it happen? Could the Buffalo Bills find themselves a new stadium prior to the 2023 season? And now some of you might be asking yourselves, why 2023? What's so important about that year? Well, if you keep up to date with Buffalo sports, if you keep up to date with your Buffalo Bills, you'll know that the lease with Orchard Park on New Era Field runs out in 2023. And just last month, the Buffalo Bills came out and said that they will not be seeking a early termination on their lease over at Orchard Park at New Era Field, which means that they will be keeping New Era Field between now and 2023. So, Joe, why would that change, right? Why would that change now? Well, with the new collective bargaining agreement just agreed to by the NFL players and the owners just yesterday, that leaves some room for bargaining, because if you recall a video that Paul Mario did with Hashtag Sports last offseason, Paul talked about this, and I want to bring it back up. Whenever there is a new collective bargaining agreement, there is a certain set amount of dollars that the NFL sets aside for helping with the construction of new stadiums, helping with that infrastructure, helping with some of those initial costs to build a new stadium. This way the NFL has kind of a say as to when teams can start building new stadiums. If they think a stadium's outdated, as we heard Roger Goodell say about New Era Field plenty of times, then they can offer some financial help when it comes to building that new stadium. However, Roger Goodell seems to be changing his tune. If you remember last season, Roger Goodell during the offseason talked about the Buffalo Bills needing a new stadium, or we would talk about the possibility of the Buffalo Bills relocating to another city. Now, of course, this put all Bills fans, including yours truly, in an uproar. How dare Roger Goodell act like he has any say as to whether a team stays in a city or not? He doesn't. You know, he just is the guy there that collects checks from the owners. So how dare he say, oh, we need to move to make more money so I can make more money? That's all it was. It was a money grab, and he tried to flex his muscle, but then he realized he didn't have that much. So when you talk about his change of tune, at those Super Bowl meetings that he has prior to every Super Bowl, he was asked about the Buffalo Bills relocating to another city or building a new stadium, and he mentioned the fact that a significant renovation of New Era Field would be satisfactory to the league desire for the Buffalo Bills to have an improved venue. So a little bit of changing their tune there. Now, if you think about Buffalo and you think about New Era Field and you ask yourself, when was the last time Buffalo had a new renovation? That was in 2013. 2013, they did some renovations, and the cost of those renovations were about $112 million. So even to renovate a stadium is not a cheap thing. So don't think that the Buffalo Bills, that Terry Pegula and Kim Pegula are getting off cheap. They'll be getting off cheaper, because if you think about new stadiums around around the NFL, you have to realize that 2 out of the last 3 stadiums that I can think of cost over $1 billion to build. I mean, you're talking about Dallas and Jerry World, and you're talking about in Atlanta, both of those stadiums costing over $1 billion. So I don't think Terry Pegula is ready to spend or help spend $1 billion to build a new stadium. However, if you're talking about significant renovations, how much would those cost? But before we get into that discussion, I do want to go over some information about the current stadium where the Buffalo Bills play, now known as New Era Field. Now, New Era Field was formerly known as Rich Stadium from 1973 to 1997. Now, the stadium was started to be built in 1972. The first game was August 17th, 1973. So that is when Rich Stadium opened. After Rich Stadium, of course, it was named after our beloved founder and owner at the time, and it was called Ralph Wilson Stadium. And that was that way until 2015, shortly after, about a year after, I believe, the death of Ralph Wilson. And then it was named New Era Field. So now we have to ask ourselves, what would a new stadium be called? If you had the chance to name a new Buffalo Bills stadium, what would you name it? Obviously, more than likely, the rights to the naming would go to whoever spent the most money, right? Whoever sponsor spent the most money. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of that going around with AT&T Stadium and Mercedes Dome and yada, 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 yada. We're seeing that all over the place. So if you could name a new stadium, what sponsor would you want to win out the naming rights for the new stadium for the Buffalo Bills? But now we have to ask ourselves, will the Buffalo Bills build a new stadium? Again, last time we were renovations on the stadium was 2013, and so what does significant renovations look like? Now, if you follow Buffalo Fanatics, I actually recently did an article on this, and I will link it down below in the description. So if you haven't already checked it out, you can have a chance to do that. It's a good read, and they list 4 potential locations for a new stadium. Buffalo News reported that last year. Remember when Terry and Kim Pegula first purchased the team, they actually did a study to see where a good place would be to put a new Buffalo Bills stadium, and there were 4 locations given, 3 of them downtown in the Buffalo area, which would add to the lure to Buffalo, a lot of people would say. And there are a lot of good significant things that would come out of putting a stadium downtown, give you more of a reason, give tourists more of a reason to go downtown. And maybe if they did it downtown, they'd have a dome, and there's some argument as to whether or not a dome would be a good thing or not for a Buffalo Bills stadium. The other location was literally next door, right in the parking lot of where they play now in Orchard Park. So you would have to think that if that's the best location, then they would just spend the money to have it renovated, right? If you get significant renovations, and in this article by Buffalo Fanatics, it does talk about how they would estimate new renovations being about $500 million, so $500 million to renovate the new stadium, and that might be worth it depending on what those renovations are. Now, obviously, with new renovations, that means ticket prices would go up, including season tickets, the venue, the merchandise, everything would probably go up a little bit, so fans would have to take that hit. And I know there's gonna be some fans who would whine and not be happy about that, but remember, guys, this league is all about generating money. It's all about generating our dollars. Whatever it takes for them to get that money, that's what they are going to do. Would you rather your season ticket prices go up $20 to $50 and still have a team in Buffalo, or would you rather the prices stay where they're at and possibly have this team relocate? Now, when we talk about relocating, I would not be worried too much. A lot of people, when they hear the word relocate, they think about that Toronto series that we just had probably about 10 years ago now, something like that, back when Ralph Wilson was still alive and owner of the team. And there was a 6-year deal, I believe, where we played 1 home game in Toronto every single year and 1 preseason game as well, but don't care about the preseason game. I am not too concerned about that because according to the new CBA, there is a set number of international games that the NFL can have. Now, I'm not sure if that includes a team possibly going over to London or going to Toronto or relocating to another country, but the new CBA does state that there will be only 10, I believe, international games, up to 10 international games a season. So that would really restrict the idea of an international team playing their home games in one spot internationally, because that takes away 8 of those 10 games. Right now, the NFL enjoys putting new teams out there for the international crowd to see the product of each team in the NFL. So I'm not sure that they will go that route as far as relocating. Now, we've seen teams relocate out of nowhere. Obviously, you think about the Cleveland Browns back in the early 2000s when they moved to Baltimore, seemingly in the middle of the night. But we have also heard that our current owner, Terry Pegula, wants to keep this team in Buffalo. This isn't an Art Modell type thing where he wants to leave the team as soon as possible. Or, I don't know, I forget his last name, but you guys know who I'm talking about, the previous owner of the Cleveland Browns moving the team to Baltimore. It seems like Terry Pegula is set on keeping this team in Buffalo, whatever it takes, and that might take some renovation. So I personally do not see the Buffalo Bills terminating the release prior to 2023. I think once 2023 hits, it's going to become very interesting, however, to see what the Buffalo Bills do. Now, when you think about that, you would have to ask yourself, then why would they renovate the stadium now? So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens now with the new stadium, if they are planning on getting a new stadium in 2023, if they present this idea to Roger Goodell, to the NFL front office. Maybe the NFL will hold back for a little bit and say, hey, we'll wait till 2023 when your lease is up, but we expect a new stadium at that time. Again, 4 locations possible, 3 of them downtown, 1 of them right next door, still in Orchard Park. Let me know in the comment section, where would you like to see a new stadium? Would you like to see them play in downtown Buffalo, right next door to where the Buffalo Sabres play? Or would you like it to stay in Orchard Park, about a 20-minute, 30-minute drive from Buffalo? Not too bad in Orchard Park either. I've been to Orchard Park quite a few times in my life, and I enjoy the atmosphere there, right? I enjoy the tailgating, everything that would change if we moved it downtown. So again, guys, I do not see the Buffalo Bills terminating the lease early, so we can expect to see the Buffalo Bills staying in Orchard Park till at least 2023. But with the new CBA, it does beg the question, could it happen? It could happen. The Buffalo Bills could go back on that. They have no reason to not go back on that. If they feel like there's more money to be made by building a new stadium, they'll terminate that lease and go ahead and move to Buffalo if that is a possibility. But go ahead, let me know what you think in the comment section. Again, guys, I think the Buffalo Bills will stay at New Era Field until the 2023 season. But after that, I expect there to be a lot of conversation. Not only do you have to think about the renovation costs, though, you do have to think about the fact that they just spent a lot of money on a new facility, right? They spent a lot of money on that new weight room facility that they have, that training facility in Orchard Park. Are they willing to just walk away from that when it is state of the art right now? Obviously, I don't think they're walking away from that. If you listen to Matt Perino when he did his take on this a month ago, again, guys, you want to check out some of these channels who did talk about this a month ago. Dan Mitchell on Don Mafia, and Mario Paul from Hashtag Sports, and Matt Perino from New York Up. All talked about this maybe a month ago. They all posted videos about the idea of a new stadium. But anyway, he did talk about possibly the Buffalo Bills staying in Orchard Park, keeping that facility there. Maybe, and here's what I'm thinking. We know that a lot of these training camps are no longer being hosted by colleges, right? So we're still one of those college arenas, or fields, I should say, and we're still one of those teams that hosts at St. John Fisher College. Well, maybe instead of training there, we move our training camp to Orchard Park and then keep move the stadium to downtown Buffalo. Just an idea. Again, you don't want to get rid of that new facility that you just spent so much money on. You don't want to completely destroy New Era Field if you're going to spend $500,000 on renovations in the next 3 or 4 seasons. But at the same time, you want to do its best financially for the ownership and for the Buffalo Bills. Again, fans might not like that idea, but again, I'd rather keep a team in Buffalo and spend $20 extra a ticket than have them move somewhere else. I'm just that big of a Buffalo Bills fan. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that comment. And again, let me know if you would want the Buffalo Bills to move downtown or if you want them to stay at Orchard Park. Again, this is, could it happen? So it's just, could this happen? Yes, it could happen, but I don't see it happening, at least not until after the 2023 NFL season. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section, and again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and after you hit that subscribe button, you want to hit that notification bell. Free agency just around the corner. You know things are going to heat up here on Believers Talk, so hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.